is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Most Valuable Podcast. I am Mark Williams with my colleague
Victor Castro.
and we're just two dudes who do real estate for a living. And today, we're going to talk about real estate. We are going to give you a market update for spring, right? We're in spring still, 2025. Go over some statistics here in the Bay Area and give you some insight on if it's a good time to buy in the market right now. Is it a good time to sell? Kind of what picture you're looking at. So we'll jump right in. And Victor, if you want to get us started, I know you pulled up some stats on your phone. So why don't you give us some fun facts in relation to the real estate market?
Yeah,
and we'll just go from there, bro.
For sure, bro. What's up, everyone? So let's talk about prices, rising prices. Even though there is a lack of inventory still, and inventory is technically up,
Yeah.
prices are up. In March 2025, the median home price in the Bay Area reached $960,000, reflecting a 7.9% increase year over year and a 2.1% rise from February.
Wait. So in this bad economy, wink. If you're listening to this, I'm winking right now. In this bad economy, you're telling me that home values have gone up 8%?
Yeah.
So let's put that into like a dollar perspective. So you said the average home price was how much?
$960,000.
$960,000 is the average home price
In the Bay Area.
in the Bay Area. If I times that by 8%, let me 960 times 8%, $76,800. So in this bad economy, wink, you're telling me if I bought a home last year that was the average price of $960,000, my home value would be $76,000 more.
Yep.
So that same house would cost me $76,000 more to buy this year.
Yeah.
This is why we tell you guys it's never a bad time to buy, and stop listening to your uncle who bought his home or your aunt who bought her home in 1955 for 50 grand. Like 8% of a lot is a lot. Like the average person does not save $76,000 a year. It was like it was less than 5,000 when we talked about it a couple podcasts ago.
I had this argument with my sister over the weekend, by the
Yeah.
way. It's insane, man. And yes, I get it. It's a region that we're talking about. The Bay Area is huge, and there's all kinds of prices in every single county. You got San Francisco County, you got Alameda County, Contra Costa, Solano, so on and so forth. And every county has a different price point, a different median price point. But if you averaged it all out, it's almost $1 million here in the Bay Area. So, it is projected, and this is from another stat that I read, that 3 to 4% nationwide is what is going to go up year over year for the next 5 years as far as pricing. That's just nationwide. Here in the Bay Area, it's a different beast. It's a different animal. There's just, I think, so much more demand here in the Bay Area as opposed to Kansas or, Nebraska, for say. There's just more people living here. There's more money also. I think more people make more money here in California. So there's just more demand, and there's a reason why pricing costs more. Not just because of money, but also geographically. We spoke about this on our last podcast. Yep. It has much more to offer. So the demand is always going to be there.
It's just simple. There's demand because there's just a ton of people that live here, and there's not that much land, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have endless land, right? It's not for instance, like if you go out to, like, let's use like the Las Vegas area, okay? Nevada. Most of Nevada is owned by like the government. Like the land is government owned. But if you go to Vegas, they're starting to like their land issue is because the land that is allowed to be built on, and then the allowed that is the land that is not, right? Some like government owns this portion. Are they gonna sell it back to the state so the state can build communities? We just have a lack of land just due to it's not that big out here. San Francisco is only 7 square miles. Like the city itself is 7 square miles. So from one point, if it's a square, it's a 49, square miles, like seven by seven. That's not that far, bro. You could, if there's no stoplights or anything, you can drive from one end to the city to the next in like 20 minutes.
Or way less.
Maybe even less.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that also puts you in perspective how much population lives there.
Yeah.
Because how many residents does San Francisco have? It's like
Yeah.
more. It's like close to what, like 2 million or something like that
Yeah.
in San Francisco in a 14-mile.
No, San Francisco is like a little bit over 1 million.
Okay,
But
but
it's like, I think last census was like when you cross the bridge, the sign says like 980,000, but I think it's a little bit over 1 million. But that's a lot of people, bro.
okay,
The county we live in, Contra Costa County, which is one of the 9 Bay Area counties, which spans from like the Richmond area. How big is Contra Costa County?
let's pull it up.
Because Contra Costa County has like 1 million people, and San Francisco has 1 million people in a smaller area.
Well, let's pull it up and let's figure this out. So Contra Costa's population is ding ding ding. Thank you, ChatGPT. Just pulling it up.
I'm gonna say
1,172,000
is how many people live there. How big?
according
like,
to the U.S. Census Bureau
yeah, so 1 million people live in Contra Costa County.
as of July 2024. So it's
Probably
probably
a little bit more.
a little bit more.
But
than
my
that.
question is, how big is it, like geographically?
Okay.
Like how many square miles is Contra Costa County? Because San Francisco square mile is 40. I think it's like 49 or 50. It's like a 7 by 7. So, put things in perspective. You have 1 million people in 49 square miles.
Here we go. Contra Costa County encompasses approximately 804 square miles.
Yeah, in San Francisco.
So it's
like,
way bigger.
Yeah, it's way bigger, the same amount of people. And there's some open land here, but a lot of this land is government owned too. That's like old naval bases and military bases. So, there's always the demand because there's no room. But hey, if you waited, it's going to cost you 8% more this year to buy.
Everyone who's waiting for the rates to fall down, it's crazy. Think about it like this. Rates are today, what, 6.8 to 7.2, something like that, depending on...
Yeah, it depends on the value of the home. Let's call it 6.5 to 7.
Okay.
Right?
All right, so let's just call it, for worst case scenario, 7%.
7%.
Okay, and you're waiting for rates to come down to what, 5? That's what you're waiting
You're
for?
going to be waiting for a while.
Okay, so if you you're going to wait all that time, but we just mentioned prices went up. So if you're going to continue to wait, you're waiting for another $75,000 to, creep up into the value of the home that you're going to purchase.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the way interest works, yes, if you get a lower interest rate and you never change that loan, you will pay less in interest over the 30 years. We are not saying that. And when you do a refinance, and I'm not going to get into refinancing, but essentially when you do a refinance, you are starting the loan process over again, right? So yes, you will save interest, but the time to pay it off will increase if you own it. If you own it for 5 years and then refinance, you're starting the clock all over again. Okay. We've done enough episodes on that. You can dig through our archives and see which one we talk about. But that being said, to your point, the high interest rates is what it is. And it may affect your buying power, meaning you may not be able to afford as much of a home. But you're only ever going to buy a home that you're comfortable paying for anyways. That's what I always tell people. Like, don't get caught up. It's just, I find it funny that we are all economists all of a sudden because we listened to a post on social media. Don't be an economist. Be you. If you want to be a homeowner, become a homeowner. Buy what you can afford. And when I say that, doesn't mean just because you can afford a lot, you're going to spend it. Buy what you're comfortable paying for. Buy what you can afford for your lifestyle, right? For the reserves you want to have. What are you willing to pay monthly to live somewhere? That dictates your budget. But if you wait, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
8% is pretty solid, bro. And I think nationally it's like 3 or 4%. That's your point. Like the Bay Area is different. 8% is a lot of money. Like essentially, like a brand new Mercedes, it cost you if you waited. You know, instead of buying the house and then the brand new Mercedes, now you have to. The Mercedes is out the window. Now that house cost you that car you want. You know what I'm saying? Like if when you put these dollar figures to it, I mean, in the grand scheme of thing, on a loan, $70,000 on a loan isn't like a crazy amount more monthly, but now compound that over 30 years with interest, and let's just say you were gonna buy the house cash, like 70 grand, dude. That's crazy. So, update number 1, housing prices are up. 2, you mentioned inventory's up.
Inventory.
So what do we mean by inventory?
The amount of homes available for sale. Okay, so this time last year, we have to dig exactly through.
Yeah,
the
but
stats,
there's more homes.
But
more homes.
There's right now. There's more homes available for buyers looking to buy,
which is good for a buyer. That means you have
excellent.
more options, and then the ones, because there is more inventory, tends to be less competition because people have more choices, right?
Yeah.
So as a buyer, that's only that can only be a positive for you. As a buyer, is you're going to have more selection, and the selection is probably going to have less interest. Although there will be interest, there's going to be less of an interest, which means the prices, the competitiveness to purchase that home isn't as crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
So this affects sellers as well. Let's talk a little bit about sellers. If you're going to sell your home right now, you must make sure that you are hiring a good real estate agent that has your best interest and is going to do everything in their power to make sure that your house looks its best possible. Because buyers are super picky.
Yeah, 100%.
They're not going to want to buy, in this economy, they're not going to want to buy something that needs work. So if something's broken in your house or something needs cosmetic fixing, they're probably going to go on to another option that doesn't need that.
Yeah.
Even if it costs a little bit more money, they're not going to want to put themselves in a position where it could cost them in the long run.
And we're seeing that. So more inventory for a buyer, great. More inventory for a seller, not so great, because there's going to be more options for those buyers in your exact neighborhood. I mean, our listing that we just had in Oakley, now there are 2 more homes on the same street that are on the market. And some of the homes that been on the market are still on the market. But we were able to obtain a buyer within essentially 10 days of going on the market because we took the time. We spent, the 2 to 3 weeks preparing the property correctly to ensure that we were the top choice of all those homes within that 1 to 2 block radius. So as a seller, you're going to make look, your home is worth what someone's willing to pay for it. Now, your real estate agent is there to advise you about the market and what things are selling for. And depending on the neighborhood, there still are neighborhoods that are super competitive and sell for way more over what they should, right? But in other neighborhoods, your home is worth what someone's willing to pay for. So we're not seeing homes fetch in the areas where we do business. We're not seeing homes get into bidding wars and sell for 100,000 plus more than the market value. Not what they're listed at, because the list price means absolutely nothing.
You can list a home 100,000, like to your point, $100,000 below what the actual market
Yeah.
dictates it should cost.
Yeah.
So that's also something that you need to have a serious conversation with your listing agent. Is is how realistic is my list price?
Yeah. Yeah, and like compare it to things that's and they should be able to pull up the data to show you what things are selling for, and then depending on the condition of the home, and what work has been done. So we're working on one right now in Concord, and it's a popular neighborhood, right? Holbrook Heights is a popular neighborhood. However, there are several homes for sale in that neighborhood, so we're doing our due diligence to get the home in a position to be the top choice, meaning some of the deferred maintenance will be fixed before it goes on the market, because we know that buyer is going to have options. Now, we may not be the prettiest home as far as like maybe, there's some design elements that the new person's going to want to do. It doesn't make sense for us to gut the home and do a full renovation. However, the home that we will be selling will have no issues, right? Like no electrical issues, no roof issues, no plumbing issues, no foundation issues, no termite issues. Like all that stuff will be taken care of, and it'll be a move-in ready home for someone that if they want to, blow the wall out and expand the kitchen, they know they have a solid base to work with.
So the physical condition of the home is intact.
Oh yeah, it'd be 100%. There's going to be all inspections already done, and everything will be correct.
And for some people, that's way more important than having a beautiful home that has lipstick on the pig.
Yeah, nothing works.
And everything's broken.
Yeah, you move in, and then next thing you know, your whole house is flooded.
It might look great on pictures, which, you got to be careful too. It might be Photoshop, so on and so forth.
I mean, the whole if you follow us on IG, and the type of work we do, the home will look beautiful. It will be done right. I'm just saying, in that neighborhoods, there's a lot of like flips that take place, like because it's an older, more established neighborhood. So there are people that live in those homes forever. And then the estate gets sold and stuff like that, and investor comes in and, blows out the wall, does, what we prefer in modern times, like open concept type stuff, but they're also buying a home at a like super discounted price, right? To your point though, sometimes that stuff is done, but the important stuff isn't done. It looks cool, but does it function right?
What's behind the wall?
Exactly.
And that's my point. And, on a buyer's perspective, I can almost put money on it. They would rather have a house that is not going to give them any issues. They're not going to have to call a plumber in 2 weeks after moving into it, or an electrician a month after moving into it, because everything was done correctly. And, the inspections were done thoroughly. Everything that came up on it was fixed, for the most part. And it's going to give you a peace of mind versus, oh my God, my house is beautiful, but I don't know if that's going to break down.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I look at it that way too. Like, I'd rather have a structurally sound home, because anything I do to it cosmetically is just what we call sweat equity. Like, I probably bought the structurally sound home at a fair market price, as opposed to overpaying something that was done up, right? And then you don't know who did the work too, right? You don't know who did the work. Was it permitted? Was it unpermitted? That doesn't even matter sometimes. Was it just good quality work, right? So, so as a seller, right now, it's very important to make sure that you are getting the right set of eyes and the right set of buyers on your property, because otherwise it will sit, and then you're going to find yourself having to make adjustments in order to move it. All right. Cool. Another market update as far as buyers and sellers. Personally, I would classify this as a buyer's market. If I was a buyer, I will be buying a house right now.
The time to buy is right now.
I would be buying a house right now. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about that. What every agent, whether they know what they're talking about or not, says, oh, marry the house, date the rate. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying I would be buying a house right now because we went over this a couple of podcasts ago. In the 75 year of statistics on homes, the values go up 69 years of the 75 years. And just proving you during an election change, an unstable economy, we still went up 8%. What happens if things stable out? Then what?
If we have a good economy, well, what's going to happen to that
What's
price?
going to happen?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
and then on top of that, odds are in your 30 years of owning a home, you will be refinancing for different reasons, whether it's to lower your payment, to pull equity out to help the kids go to college or buy another property. There's going to be a reason where that loan resets. So to our point is, you should be buying a home based on what you just did one. You just helped those clients that were qualified for so much more, but they decided on a number that they were comfortable with. And they gave themselves a little bit of a cushion to go up or down.
Pretty good $200,000 cushion.
Yeah, but to the point was they were happy in their decision because although they were approved for X, they spent Y because that's what they wanted to spend, right? And we were able to find them. And on top of that, got a great house with a great seller that got a lot of stuff fixed and was willing to even maybe, whatever was missed, was willing to still take care of whatever was missed, right?
Very accommodating.
So, because they know that it's a buyer's market. Right now, spring 2025 is a buyer's market.
They came out of pocket $5,000 to purchase a home.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
$5,000, and the seller gave them a credit, so they saved money.
Yeah, so the sellers are willing to make concessions to move the property. I put it this way. It's a buyer's market because when someone sells a home, they're selling it for a reason. Whatever that reason is, they are selling it. Odds are right now they are selling it for a pretty, they want to sell it. Because this is not a market to test if it's going to sell. You have a home on the market because you made that decision that you're done with this property.
You have something happening in your life that the house that you're in doesn't accommodate what you're going through. So you need to make a change.
Yeah.
Either, granted, hopefully it's not nothing bad like a divorce or nothing like that, but let's say you need to upsize because your family is just,
it's growing.
It needs this more room. You're going to help someone sell a home.
Well, they're all, the family's growing, but then again, they're seeing that this may be an opportunity as a buyer
to get into a great deal.
To get a better deal, even though their rate's going to be higher than their current rate, but their home is worth what it's home now. It's worth what it's worth now, right? So setting that realistic expectation, hey, this is more than likely the range your home's going to sell for. So by doing, this is what you're going to pocket, you could then move that equity over to this home. Obviously, this home is going to cost you more monthly. We're looking for a bigger home, right? That costs more money. However, if by chance the interest rates go in your favor, they've been in this home going on 8 years. If by chance in the next 8 years, the interest rate goes in your favor, you may be paying closer to what you're paying now. But then you got the home for so much cheaper because it's increasing 8% every year in a bad market. What happens when things shift to the 5%? You think it's going to go up 8%? It's going to go up 20+%.
Just like COVID.
And now they got that equity in the home. And then at that time, what people don't, it's this monopoly play. Think about it. You get in now, higher rate. Boom. Okay? But you got more home. You got a home in a neighborhood maybe you would think you wouldn't be able to get because of the competition. And the seller was able to help offset some of that that financial stress by giving you some credits to make the buying process easier. Fast forward 5 years, rates go down 2.5%, 3%. You're in your home. Now you can leverage. Now you're refinancing. You go, you know what? For the same payment, I can get 100, 200 grand back in my pocket. You do that. You take the money out. Maybe you go buy an investment property. Maybe you're paying for your kids' college. Maybe just invest in that in something else. Maybe just living life. Who knows? But what I'm getting at is you made that decision earlier to put you in a position to have options. Now, as a buyer, is the time to have options.
And options as a renter. You tell me what options you
Rents
have.
go up too. Rents just went up.
You don't. But the point is, you don't have any options.
No.
You have to continue living somewhere. So you're gonna have to rent at whatever that price is. And if you do, it's like I had this argument with my sister. Okay, it's like I could save more money if I was a renter.
No, how?
By the way, that's not true. We did the math. And number two is she forgets. I'm calling her out. I don't care.
She's your sister. She's your younger sister.
She forgets. She forgets that as a renter, you're tossing that money away.
You'll never see it.
But as a homeowner, it's not being tossed away. Yes, you're paying interest, but you're paying your loan down. So you're actually retaining a chunk of that money. It's two things. You're lowering your loan, and your home is growing in
8%
in appreciation. So that's that difference between what you currently own and what it's currently valued at, you get to keep and leverage in the future for whatever you want. Let's say you want to go back to renting and take those $200,000 that you made in equity.
All right, so I'll do simple math, and I don't know how much your sister's house costs. I'm just gonna put simple math.
Yeah.
Based on like the neighborhood she's in, like $600,000 neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So $600,000. If it increases by 8%, that's $48,000. So that means in 1 year, that house goes up $48,000. Okay, that's just simple interest. Now the same home, say she has a 7% interest rate times 7%. It's $42,000 in interest, right? Granted, she's probably paying. Technically, it's not simple interest like that. It's compounding. So on a $4,000 payment in year one, you're probably paying $2,500 in interest, right? And $1,500 towards principal. So $2,500 times 12. I like doing math, dude. We need to get our editor to start putting it on her behind her times 12. That's $30,000. Okay, so granted, she spent $30,000 in interest, but the price of her home went up 8%, went up $48,000. Mm-hmm. So she netted a positive $18,000. And then to your point, she paid some of her principal off, which is $1,500 of that $4,000 payment, right? Which is $18,000. So she made $18,000 and she paid down $18,000. So she netted an increase of $36,000. The average American saves less than $5,000 a year.
Tell me what renter can make $36,000 a year.
Renting. You don't. So say same home, same neighborhood, rents $3,000 a month, right? That's probably what it goes for. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, times 12, $36,000. So she made 36, but as a renter, you lost 36 because you never, ever see that money again.
And your rent probably went up year over year.
Go up, at least.
So you're never paying the same thing.
If you're an investor hearing this and you are a good landlord, you run your business as a business, there is no way you are not taking advantage of whatever rental increase you are allowed to year over year.
Legally.
You'd be stupid to not do that because you're costing your business money.
They're good people. I just want to have them. Okay, to each their own, but we wouldn't advise that because
you raise the rent.
You're just costing yourself.
You got to treat it as a
money.
business. Yes, you want someone in your home that takes care of it, but at the end of the day, it's a business. You got to treat it as a business, right? I think you can increase it 3 to 5%. If I was doing my rental and the market dictated an increase, I'd be increasing whatever the market dictated. So, but the point being is that's the market update, like it's the Bay Area, people. Get out there and buy a home. And if you need to sell, It's never a bad time to sell because it's going to sell for market value because there is always demand for your property.
Just make sure it looks its best, and you'll be fine.
You gotta work with the right people. The cheapest is usually not the right, and that I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because that kind of drives me. Like, I never understood that. The cheap car is a cheap car, right? When you buy an automobile looking for a discount, the cheap car is a cheap car, right? There's a reason it's cheap, and there's a reason the expensive car is expensive, right? But the thing is, the crazy part in real estate is we all kind of charge the same. It's just a matter of who wants to run their business efficiently to be able to maximize on your profit, not their profit. Damn, that should be a catchphrase, bro. We're gonna send the flyer. If you're in our area where we're sending flyers, you can see that flyer in a couple months. But with that, Victor, I got nothing else to say. You want to say something?
No, it's just great opportunities if you're a buyer. Still great opportunities for your seller if you're working with the right team.
All right, and with that, we look forward
to winning with you.